our basic HTML page sitting here, and we want to add things to it. Now, the most basic thing that you can add is just text. So if I come in here and I type, let's say, hello world, then I see hello world over here. And notice that Web Lab is actually updating my page real time. In the real world, you'd have to save your file and then it would update that. But fortunately, World Lab makes things fast and easy for us, which is why we use it. So then the problem with this is if I just keep typing text, and then if I go to the next line, notice that it all just runs together. So one key part of dealing with a web page is how do you organize your text? And in general, text is organized into a couple basic parts. If it's just regular text, usually it's broken into headings and subheadings and paragraphs. Now, there are other things that you can do as well, but that's the basic structure. So for example, at the top of my page, and notice all of this is going into the body. You would never put paragraphs or headings inside of the head because remember, this stuff up here is not visible on the page, not directly at least. So if I wanted to create a main heading, I would use the H1 tag. Don't forget to close that tag. In fact, it might be a good idea just to open and close it first and then type your text. So my heading, in this case, I'll just call it main heading. And that right there, notice the text is way larger, but it's doing some other things too. It's making it larger font, it's making it bold, and it's also spacing some things to make it stand out as the heading. And this is all part of the way HTML is set up to make creating headings in just text files much easier. However, it's important to understand that when you type H1, don't think of that as creating big and bold text. Think of it as creating a heading. You can always change what it looks like later, okay? And that's a more advanced topic, but it's important to understand, use the tag that represents what the content is, not what it looks like, okay? So in this case, H1 represents a main heading. Then if I wanted to give like an introduction, like maybe I'm gonna say, by Tim Helen, that's me. Okay. Now the problem is that's probably not the greatest way to organize things. And so I'm actually going to put that in a paragraph to trap it in there. And that gives me a couple flexibility options later on. That's why I'm putting it into a paragraph tag. We won't talk about that in this course, but later on we will. Now, if you didn't like the fact that it was spaced so much, there are other options. But for now, we'll just put it in a paragraph. And then maybe I'm going to have a subheading that represents the first section of my page. So H1 is a main heading. H2 represents a subheading. Now this will be my first subheading. Okay. And notice when I close the tag that WebLab understands what I'm doing, and so it updates the page automatically. And then I can go and I can create as many paragraphs as I want underneath that. If it helps you to see your page visually, it's okay to put extra line breaks in here because notice it doesn't change what it looks like over here. It just makes it a little easier to see the parts as you're visually looking at your code. That's one thing about HTML. Just typing text does not format it over here. You need to use tags. You need to use those tags to mark up that text to make it look the way that you want it to. So that's why this is a markup language, hypertext markup language. So then my second paragraph could be, this is my topic sentence of some sort, okay? And there is a paragraph, and I can add as many paragraphs as I want. Okay. Paragraphs can be individual sentences. They can be blocks of many sentences. So I could actually add another sentence. I could say, this is a third sentence. Okay. And notice that it automatically wrapped the line down here, but it didn't change what it looks like over here. Okay, it's only when you put in a tag that it's going to alter the structure of the page. So this is just a basic introduction to how you use headings, subheadings, and paragraphs. Remember that in every case, there should be an open and a close tag. So a beginning and an ending tag. And same thing with paragraphs, beginning and ending tag. Paragraphs can contain single sentences, or it can contain many sentences, entire paragraphs.